for our next featured reader. Cool. So, Gloria Jorgensen was born in Atlanta, Georgia, before the skyscrapers invaded. Her literary and artistic pursuits were suppressed in childhood for fear she might portray her family as peculiar. In college, professors insisted she need not have a major, such as writing, since she would be a wife. Among the places she has published are Upwelling, the Noyo River Review, At the Edge, and the Yale Review. Last year, she won a Browning Society Award for her dramatic monologue, My Last Husband. Please welcome Gloria.
This is called The Depths. It's a small apartment. The one semi-decent window looks out on a courtyard. In the center is what used to be a fountain, planted with boxwoods. Inside, the one-bedroom shotgun structure is chilled as a refrigerator, so most times I feel like a cucumber ready to be sliced. The TV on the rolling cart in the living room is broadcasting the Watergate hearings that have gone on for weeks. I'm feeling kind of peaked at having had 2 lettuce leaves yesterday and not even wanting that much today, so I decided to come into the white painted bedroom and lie down across the white candlewick bedspread on the double-sized mattress and box springs we got down to the Sleep Express depot out on I-10. Before I can even pull back the covers, the room goes to spinning and everything gets black. That's when the music starts playing in my head and Bob Dylan strolls out of the wavering shadows with his acoustic guitar strumming a tune. I say, "You're not really here." The next thing I recollect is dark. High above, a tiny dot of light with thin streamers. Otherwise a murky to opaque, silky, weightless void. It tastes of salt. My arms float with velvet bands of plants. Kelp, I reckon. Things have a greenish cast, olive-colored, ebon to black, with occasional fish. Some are huge. Schools of little bitty shiny ones swim all together in a magical ballet. I can almost hear Dylan singing, "The water is wide, I can't cross over." Fish pirouette. About when I get to studying on how odd it is, me not needing to hold my breath, this one fish seems like all teeth, swims right up in my face. He commences to say in a funny stick-up-your-butt kind of talk, "Mr. G. Gordon Liddy has implicated you in the Watergate break-in. Your presence is required in the courtroom hearings." I says, "Dang, y'all got me. I'm deep throat." The fish gets wide-eyed and his glasses fall off. "I want to talk to Bob Haldeman and John Ehrlichman," I says. On account of my fine education gleaned from tattered copies of National Geographics in Dr. Ellerby's waiting room, I reconnoitered the fish to be a piranha right about the same time that there sapsucker turns tail and wiggles his fanny as fast as he can in the other direction. I glanced down and noticed I ain't wearing my normal attire. "Hey," I say, "do you think Judge Sirica will mind if I show up for court in formal dress? I'm in appropriate clothes for the ballet. Y'all don't think I was raised in a barn, do you?" He's gone. I never seen a fish with worse manners. I want to be sure I don't accidentally do nothing to mess up when I give my testimony. I can't stand that dang Nixon sending all our boys to die in that war. That's when the earthquake starts. As I have often wondered what one would feel like at the bottom of the sea, this event is of great interest. It feels a lot like being jiggled in the bed. Grace. Somebody divulged my name to that fish. Muff Merblebluss, I say. "Gracie," the fish says. That aggressive little carnivore has learned my nickname. I say, "Crappin' frappin'." The earthquake flips me on my back, hair in my face. "How long has it been since you ate something?" Mercedes rays, I say. I swim down and find Judge Sirica, who looks just like a catfish. I told my husband Jewel about the White House tapes and Butterfield's testimony. I've been watching every second of the televised proceedings to keep an eye on things. You could tell when that feller opened his mouth about those recordings, everybody in the courtroom was stunned. J.W. acted like I didn't have a brain in my head and couldn't appreciate the full implications of the situation. Pissed me off royally. I'm feeling right peckish with thoughts of Butterfield, which brings to mind endless prairies of tall stalks of corn and all that butter I'll slather on once it's shucked and boiled a minute. And there's Judge Sirica with his catfish face. Imagine that sumbitch dipped in buttermilk, egg, cornmeal, fried crispy old piece. Me holding him by the head and tail and fixing to take a bite off meat off the bones with a side of hush puppy, slaw, French fries, and sweet tea. That earthquake like to jitters me half in two. A mess of people come and pull me out of the rubble, shine bright lights straight in my eyes. They slap me on a cart like a plate of hors d'oeuvres and push me around till I'm dizzy. I try to swim back to the quiet deep, and it's the very thing they won't let me do. Sirens scream someplace, which I find entirely uncalled for. We arrive at a venue all white and awake. I hate it even before they get to poking me. I hear I'm dehydrated and need to put on weight. Don't that feller know thin is in? I could stand to lose 10 more pounds, get down to an even 90. 100 pounds seems high on a 5'8" frame for a fashion-minded girl such as I. They're talking to Jewel anyway, not me. Fine, I'm too tired to listen. I need a nap. I feel for my hip bones poking up. My belly is good and flat. My friend is done quit visiting, and the rabbit is fine. No babies for me. I ain't but 18 and life is over before it's got started. The only important thing I ever done was cast my first vote ever for McGovern, and the Nixon campaign went and stole the election. Jewel don't let me drive or use the phone or buy clothes. He never was in love with me. I was his way to dodge that nasty war in Nam. A scholarship in biology for grad school was supposed to be his ticket out, only he didn't have the smarts to hack it. Hence the sudden proposal. His lottery number had come up 17. So he decides he's going to leave me here at this fancy spa where they take away my razor and my shoelaces. There's one feller here named Lewis who has red hair and a goofy smile. He has privileges and I ain't committed, so we go out on the deck to smoke. He's right pudgy with freckles and the cutest nose on him, and I declare he starts looking like a speckled sea trout. It's how he holds his mouth with his jaw jutting out just a little, so I tilt my head one way and another until he looks regular. I say, "What's up with you?" Mom and Doc say I'm delusional. Like how, I say. I think there's more to this world than we can see, a lot more. Sounds like you're paying attention to me, I says. I talk to fish and remember a world without time, space, or gravity. Me too, he says, the gravity part, not the fish. I put my cigarette out on the bottom of my shoe, squeeze out the tobacco, and stash the butt in my pocket. Lewis says, "Where'd you learn to field trip a smokerette?" I say, "My dad was in WW2, flew the hump to Burma. I guess that's where I picked it up from." I hadn't seen anybody do that since Quezon. "Oh, I wasn't thinking. Bad memories?" He says, "I've learned to deal." "Oh, right, and I'm Raquel Welch." "Raquel, huh?" He says, "Funny. We had a life-size poster for in our tent. Somehow I don't remember her having the same eyes as you." I say, "That's because I don't have my contact lenses in. I just happen to be wearing my glasses at the moment. Otherwise, people mistake me for her all the time." After a couple nights shooting the breeze out on the porch, I asked Lewis if he wants to talk about Nam. He's chain smoking. My lungs can't take that. I've been hacking at night as it is. I might light up one for every 5 or 6 he goes through. Me toking on Virginia Slim's menthol, him strictly Camel's Unfiltered. He says, "My older brother Jamie was a Marine, gunnery sergeant. Goops killed him." I say, "Oh, geez, man, I am sorry. So you went to avenge your brother's death?" "The second I was 18. I wasn't good enough for Paris Island. The Army took me with the rest of the losers. He hotboxes a camel, lights another one off of it. I fire up Miss Jenny to fill the silence. Was supposed to work supply because of my glasses. I wanted to see action, he says. It's the noise. I can't get it out of my head. Choppers. The blades whirring around. Gunfire. M16s, AK-47s. The smell of Agent Orange burning after they dropped it. There's another long pause, another hot box. I was out on patrol one night. It was sweltering like always. Sweat dripping in my eyes, burning, couldn't see. Took my glasses off to wipe them. Got separated from the guys. Stepped in a hole, not deep, but there were punji sticks. One went straight through my boot. I was in a world of hurt before I knew what happened. He puffs hard. The cigarette glows as he runs his hand through his somewhat sparse red hair. Once I get my boot free, I'm hobbling along, and next thing I know, there's a gook with an automatic weapon pointed at me, standing on the path about a quarter click away, yelling some gibberish. So I fire. Right? He drops like a stone. I mean, what was I going to do? He puts his hands on his knees and leans forward. I hear whimpering. He says, I go up, establish there's no movement, roll the body. It's a kid. A sob. A little kid. Lewis takes three deep breaths, stands, lights up. But this time I got my glasses back on. I notice a ways beyond there's a pile of rags. The rest of the platoon are hustling over. I approach close enough to see it's a gook encampment. The rags of bloody bodies, mostly toddlers, infants, young women, grandmothers, mutilated. The boy was trying to guard him or something. Hell, he probably didn't know what he was doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I start firing my weapon in the air and screaming. That's what they told me I did. I have some memory of ammo whizzing up and spent shells ejecting next to my ear. The kick is fierce, but I hold it until someone tackles me and takes it away. I've been here ever since. He crushes his last cigarette out with the toe of his sneaker, shoves his hands in the pockets of his peacoat and walks past where I'm standing into the day room, leaving me on the cement porch alone, searching for even one star in the cloudy sky. I'm out there thinking about the times people, my family, friends, have called me crazy, peculiar, different, strange. My mother always saying, "What is wrong with you?" Coming down hard on the word wrong. At the same time, Mother would tell me how lucky I was to be in our family, to have them as parents. I'd think, I don't feel lucky. I feel like I want to kill myself. Ever since I was old enough to remember, I'd go through the day thinking of how I could do it and saying to myself, if I can make it through today, maybe tomorrow will be better. Well, it never was. They were saying I was crazy and I was trying as hard as I could to be normal. I come up with a deck of cards. What do you want to play, Lewis says next time I see him. Gin rummy, I say. He beats my brains out a few times and I clobber him for a while. He demolishes me. Gosh, you Red Baron, I say. That becomes his nickname between the two of us. We meet up in the halls between group sessions. Lewis takes to wearing a towel around his shoulders like a cape. I pose as a sword fighter's stance and say, "En garde." He stands straight and twirls his pretend mustache. "You are no match for the Red Baron, silly person," he says. His fake German accent's terrible. I thrust, he dodges, I parry. He tries to fling one side of the ridiculous cape over his shoulder, it won't stay. He produces an invisible sword from behind his back and runs me through. I grab the sword impaled in my stomach. I heave, I gasp, I lunge against one wall, I stagger, I avoid Mrs. Cunningham and her walker. I twirl, I fall on the floor, legs straight up in the air, still holding the invisible sword. I kick, I writhe in agony, I groan, I bicycle pedal in pain. I open my eyes wide, reach for the Red Baron. He's propped casually, polishing his fingernails. A crowd is gathered. I gasp a final time and fall limp, dead, Dead ski. Skipping, skipping, skipping. One night, the nurse comes to wake me up in the middle of the night. She says, they need a count. I go out to the day room where everybody's gathered, sitting on the floor, on sofas. And it begins to dawn on me, there's one person I don't see. Where's Lewis, I say? Has anybody seen Lewis? My voice gets louder. Lewis? I start to run down the hall. Hands grab me from behind. I say, tell me. A sharp stick goes deep in my arm. Liquid burns, forced in the muscle too fast. Tell me, I say. The spectacled eyes float above me. Lips move. A voice says words that make no sense, like a recording going too slow. I dive deep, swim to the murky bottom where I reside a good long time. Nobody sings. A snake says, you have danced with death a long time. I say, I know. I've been afraid I'm crazy. I thought maybe somebody here could tell me. They might lock me up and keep me forever. It says, what do you think now? I say, I don't reckon it's going to be that simple, or simple maybe, but not easy. Someday, I'll invent a new breakfast cereal. It'll be called Bran Flakes with raisons d'etre. Every morning you can eat a bowl of reasons to be. Wouldn't that be grand? The snake hisses and slithers back down its basket and disappears. In the silence of the depths, an enormous speckled trout approaches wearing a leather belt. Lewis. Grace, he says. Yes, I say. Can I ask a favor? Do you think you can get this belt off of me, he says. No problem. How'd it get there? Don't you know? I hung myself with it, he says. They haven't told me. Why, Lewis? Was it my fault? No. I couldn't stand the pain anymore, he says. It wouldn't let go. I parse his words. I ask, are you happier? As a fish, he says. Out of all this, I say. Not really. Did you hate it here? I was confused, he says. I thought I hated it, I say. Until I saw what I hate is now. I love life. That's why this part is hard. I'm going to change it. Brilliant. One more thing, he says. Yeah? Eat.